Uh, Assalamu alaikum. Hi, everyone. Welcome to CGIAR Pavilion. Welcome to the session entitled Multidimensional Understanding of Fragility, Climate Fragility of the Waterland Communities, and also the Resilience Pathways. I am Dr. Youssef Brozin. I am the regional representative of IMI, the International Water Management Institute, one of the CGIAR centers. So we are in the third day of COP16. We had really interesting discussions in the previous days about land restoration, land preservation, sustainable land and water management, investing in partnership and inclusive solutions, and all these topics are obviously resonating with the situation of MENA, the Middle East and North Africa region, where land degradation is a reality and the scarcity of resources, land and water, for instance. So in this session, we will ask a few questions like how science can guide the understanding, but also the investments in resilience building within the land, water, and community system in the Middle East and North Africa region. What are the examples of solutions and innovations? Solutions and innovations can be policy, can be technology, but also traditional solutions. Can be also integrated solutions. And what are the examples of policy interventions that happened in the region or are happening in the region to contribute to the resilience of these vital systems? So we will learn about, we will try to address these questions jointly with distinguished speakers, panelists from prestigious organizations, institutes operating in these fields from different perspectives and with different ways. So to start, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Qamar from ICISCO, who is the head of science and technology at ICISCO. Professor Qamar, of course, has a long, big biography, a lot of achievements, a lot of distinguished achievements in his career, from in Pakistan, in Asia, but also within his functions with ICISCO in the geographic scope of ICISCO. So, Professor Qamar, please welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Youssef, and welcome everybody. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Esteemed colleagues, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's indeed a privilege to open this critical session on understanding, multidimensional understanding of land, water, and communities' fragility and resilience pathways. Today, we gather not only to discuss the challenges we face, but also to explore pathways of hope, adaptation, and transformation in the face of an ever-changing environment. And I'm particularly concerned about, not just the southern part of the MENA, but also the northern part of the MENA. We see that the challenges that we faced in the Sahara Sahara started off with a very green environment, and then over the centuries, it became a desert. Now we are seeing similar sort of challenges in the southern part of Europe, where we are facing water shortages and moving towards desertification. So challenges are great, and certainly a lot across the globe. The balance between nature ecosystem and human communities under unprecedented strain, like I said, in the southern Europe, we are straining the region to move towards desertification. Land, not only there, but other places, is being degraded. Water resources are diminishing, and resilience of communities, especially in vulnerable regions, is being tested like never before. Yet within these challenges lie opportunities to rethink, innovate, and act with purpose. As we reflect on this balance, Let us begin with one of the most striking examples of environmental challenges in history. Like I mentioned, the cycles of desertification in Sahara. Once during the African humid period, the Sahara was a thriving savanna, rich with life, flowing rivers, and flourishing human civilization. Archaeological evidence tells us of lakes, fertile grasslands, and a thriving biodiversity that define the landscape. But over thousands of years, in fact, millennia, natural climate shift to its transformation into the vast arid desert we know today. This transformation was not only just about a change in landscape, it also marked a profound shift in human life. Communities that once thrived in the Sahara had to adapt, migrate, or vanish altogether. This history reminds us of the delicate interplay between climate, ecosystem, and human survival, and the profound consequences when the balance is lost. Today, we are witnessing similar patterns of fragility in other parts of the world, the Mediterranean basin, and southern Europe, for example, which I mentioned before, face rising temperatures, prolonged droughts, erratic rainfall, and accelerating land degradation. These signals of transformation, though slower than historical changes, are undeniable and alarming. But unlike the natural cycles of the past, which we saw in the Sahara, today's fragility is compounded by human activity. Deforestation, over-extraction of water, unsustainable agriculture, and urban expansion are intensifying these challenges. This highlights an essential truth. While climate change often initiates stress on ecosystem, human choices determine whether this stress results in recovery or collapse. The interconnectedness of land, water, and communities lies at the heart of this fragility. When water resources diminish, agriculture productivity suffers, leading to food insecurity and economic strain. Degraded land becomes less hospitable for human settlement, pushing communities towards migration or displacements. This interconnected vulnerability reinforces the urgent need for integration. While fragility poses grave challenges, resilience offers us a way forward. Resilience is not a passive state of endurance, it is an active, dynamic process of adaptation, transformation, and renewal. And we've seen in the Sahara, people have adapted very well. Maybe the West now can learn from the experiences in the Sahara, and they can also adapt in the future when they face similar circumstances in Europe. But resilience does not happen by chance. It must be cultivated. It begins with acknowledging the interconnectedness of resources and designing solutions that balance ecological, technological, and social dimensions. I would like to highlight three critical pathways for building resilience. First, resilience begins with integrated resource management. We cannot address land degradation without also considering water resources. Water tables are depleting everywhere. In Pakistan, 40% of our water table has depleted completely, the aquifers, which were accumulated over millennia. We drained those water resources in the last century. Innovations like precision agriculture offers us tools to manage resources more effectively using data to optimize irrigation and reduce waste. And we've Sham sitting here, he does excellent work on remote sensing and identifying, vulnerable areas and how to really restore these land degradation also. Secondly, at the heart of resilience are the communities that depend. I think this is the critical point. We have to take the communities on board. If we do not, we will never be able to address these challenges. People really don't understand, what we are doing with our land. And they need to be taken on board and told to sustainably and culturally appropriate, adapt culturally appropriate practices. Third, climate adaptation requires collaboration on a global scale. I often say that, what the West has created, the South is suffering because of that. And we talk about carbon credit and everything, and the South may be becoming more resilient due to this carbon credit. But we did a workshop in Sharm el Sheikh during COP27, and people even did not know how to take advantage of carbon credit or take advantage of different funding available for climate change there. And that was very alarming for us. And we built capacities in those individuals, but still I don't see them taking advantage of it as much as the Western countries are taking advantage. At ISESCO, initiatives like ISESCO's program on climate resilience and sustainable resource management demonstrates how partnerships between nations, institutions, and local stakeholders can drive meaningful progress. Ladies and gentlemen, the story of Sahara, and indeed the story of every fragile ecosystem, is a reminder that the fate of the land is tied to the fate of its people. We stand at a critical junction where the choices we make today will determine whether fragility becomes collapse or resilience becomes transformation. Let us not merely react to the symptoms of fragility, but anticipate and address its root causes. Let us use this session to deepen our understanding of the complex nexus of land, water, and communities. Let us exchange ideas, share successes, and commit to bold action. Before I finish, I would like to invite you all to one of our side events in the Blue Zone at MET 06 Area A, which will be at 1 p.m. And it addresses strengthening soil, health, and climate resilience. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Qamar. I recall you are a tenured professor of biochemistry and molecular biology, former rector of Comstat University in Islamabad. And your initial, despite inspiring us on climate change, resilience, and innovation, your background is enzymology, population and molecular genetics, and molecular pathology, focusing on inherited diseases. And for your contributions to science, technology, and education, you got awarded the Tamra IMTIAZ by the President of Pakistan. Your words were very inspiring, Professor Qamar. Thank you very much. You set the scene brilliantly for us. So I noted a lot of your interesting ideas and insights. You started by giving hope. You discussed the situation of MENA, but in connection with the northern shore and how this northern shore can also learn from MENA. And this is one of the aims of this session, is to share experiences and successful interventions. You also proposed solutions to build resilience based on integrated approaches, based on consultation with communities, and also using science and technology. And these are the focus of the next presentations exactly. So we will have a chance to go through 3 presentations. So the first one will be focusing on how science can guide the investments on resilience, on space, on time, and also on sectors. And the second one will be focusing on solutions. So once we understand the fragility of systems, what are the solutions, including traditional ones? And Professor Qamar mentioned how communities can have knowledge, long-term knowledge that can be valorized. And then in the third presentation, we will go through a very interesting approach to increase productivity, but also resilience of land, water, and communities through integrated approach, integrated aquaculture and agriculture. So if you allow me, I will go through the first presentation, which will be entitled Inclusive Data Science and Data-Driven Approaches to Guide Resilience Interventions in MENA. We will focus on an example from Morocco, and it is a work of IMI, the International Water Management Institute. So, quick word about IMI for those who are not familiar. So, we are an international non-profit research for development organization. We are part of the CGIAR. We focus on water in connection with food, ecosystems, economies, and societies. And in this analysis, we will see how IMI, in collaboration with our partners in Morocco, but yes, try to understand the fragility of systems, water, land, communities, agri-food systems. So we are here bringing the concept of fragility, which is a way to look at vulnerabilities of these systems to hazard, to stress, to shocks, climatic shocks, obviously, is the focus of this session, but also connected to the government institutional capacities and interventions to address and to reduce or mitigate the impacts of these shocks. So in this work, we are asking the question about before to make interventions, before to invest, we need to understand clearly the boundaries of these systems, and the behavior of these systems to these shocks. And this is the key research and development question that we try to focus on in this analysis by taking this watershed as example. So how can we enhance the resilience of the water, land, agri-food systems, and also the communities in the Bourgreg Basin in Morocco to support sustainable development while addressing the fragility of these vital systems? So fragility, of course, is slowing down the developments, if not even halting the developments in some areas. So we try to see using science and data, but also dialogue to see what are the where we should prioritize the interventions. Why Bourgreg watershed in Morocco? It is one of the most strategic areas in the Kingdom of Morocco. So the water collected in this watershed is supplying Rabat, the capital, and also big parts of Casablanca, the largest city in Morocco, and all the surrounding cities there. It is also an area where rain-fed agriculture is very important. A lot of livestock, pasture activity is happening there, in addition, of course, to finance and industrial activities in Casablanca, the economic capital of Morocco. And obviously, it is also a basin victim of a lot of shocks and stresses, climatic stresses, and with a very ambitious development agenda. So this is a snapshot of the methodology that we put in place. Very data-driven, a lot of remote sensing data, a lot of satellite products were used, but also a lot of ground data, ground measured data. So first of all, we identified the hazards, the stresses to these systems with consultation with the population and also decision makers. And I will come to this point in the next slide. And then we try to develop an equation to come up at the end, to come up with an index of fragility, index of the fragility of each of the 5 or 4 systems, water, land, agri-food, but also communities, to these 3 hazards. And then this index is helping us to understand the fragility of these systems to this hazard now under the business as usual scenario, current scenario, but also in the future. So this is very important to guide the investors and policymakers in terms of interventions in the future in this area. I mentioned the consultation dialogue. So we put in place a very sophisticated dialogue and consultation with population, decision makers, a lot of all concerned administrations and stakeholders, but also local communities, civil society, farmers, kids. Kids were consulted in this work. And it was very important for us to have the perception of every single group of stakeholders to the hazards, to the impacts, to how communities and also stakeholders and policymakers are acting. I will give you quickly a snapshot of the results. Of course, there will be reports that will be launched very soon. And we will be very happy to share it with a lot of insight, a lot of results. So these are some of the results that we came up with through this work. So the focus, for example, in this presentation will be by hazard. For example, we started by erosion, which is a big hazard to land and water system, but also the infrastructure. So siltation or silting is a big problem in the largest dam in this watershed, this dam that is supplying water to Casablanca, Rabat, and all surrounding areas. So you can see that through the focus or the establishment of this fragility index of water and land systems to erosion, we can understand the level of fragility spatially distributed over the basin. And we took the decision to focus on the boundaries of the municipalities, because action there in Morocco is going toward decentralization. So any resilience and adaptation measure will be taken or implemented by the municipalities. So we took into consideration the boundaries of the municipalities. So this was under current situation. So this is the current situation of fragility of water and land systems to erosion hazard. And this is what's going to happen in the future under two different future scenarios by projecting the climate, but also the other socioeconomic scenarios. So now the decision makers, those who are concerned by land, for example, or water, or focusing on the hazard, erosion, they can understand where they need to focus in the future to mitigate the fragility and increase the resilience of land and water. The second hazard was drought, which is a key problem, a major problem in the region, including Morocco. And of course, the affected systems are the three: water, land, and agri-foods. And within the same methodology, we try to understand the fragility levels across municipalities in this watershed. And this is the situation in the future under two different projections. Similarly, floods, a big problem again, affecting the land and the water systems and the communities behind, of course. And this is the fragility levels or by municipality over in the watershed and the current situation. And this is the situation in the future. I mean, similarly, the decision makers concerned or focusing or with the mandate of focusing on floods or one or the two systems, they can now understand where they might be focusing to mitigate this issue. And then we went to the next level, which is the nexus thinking, or the three systems thinking. We try to combine the three systems toward the three fragility sources. And now we understand where the three systems are fragile with different levels against the three hazards. Again, in the future, this is what is look like in terms of fragility of the three systems combined to the three hazards. Of course, we didn't stop here. We went to solutions. I will not focus on solutions, but I need to mention that they were co-selected with the populations and also with the decision makers according to their mandates and functions. So again, we came back to these people to consult with them and also to select the jointly agreed options. A lot of interesting options, resilience options like water harvesting. We have also traditional water systems, forest restoration, etc. But I'm sure we'll have very interesting insight about solutions in the next presentations. So this is to say that we at CGIAR, at MENA, we are trying to build hybrid methods, approaches to understand the issue, the fragility of these vital systems to development, to the livelihoods, but also sustainable development in our region. And consulting with people, consulting with communities is very important, that we try always to combine the two approaches. As I said, there will be a launch of the reports very soon. We will be very happy to share it with anyone who is interested. So this was the first presentation for today, which is about understanding in a science-based way, understanding the fragility of the systems. So the next presentation will be given by our colleague, Mr. Mohammed Bashri from Anzou. And Mohammed Bashri is currently the Director of Strategy and Partnership at Anzou. Anzou is the Moroccan agency for oasis and Argan areas developments. It's under the Ministry of Agriculture auspice. So Mr. Mohammed Bashri, He has more than 30 years of experience in agriculture, water management, sustainable development. He has chance to manage really big projects within the Ministry of Agriculture. One of them is the first Millennium Challenge projects, where a lot of breakthroughs in the national irrigation projects have been made with really strong participatory approaches. So Mr. Mohammed Bashri will take us through traditional knowledge in Morocco. Please.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. My presentation will in English, written in English, but I speak in Arabic. I'm very sorry. إذا كما جاء في تدخل الأستاذ الدكتور يوسف، المداخلة ديالي ستروم حول تقنيات العتيقة للري وفي حصاد المياه. سأتكلم عن حول نقطتين مهمتين أو حول تقنيتين مهمتين، هو تقنية جمع المياه الجوفية عن طريق الخطارة، وتقنية جمع المياه السطحية عن طريق المطفيات. إذن العرض سيتكون من 3 أو 4 نقاط. يعني لماذا السقي بالمغرب؟ هذه تقنيات يعني توفرت منذ سنين، تقنيات قديمة. المغرب يعني نظرا لتواجده الجغرافي وتواجده بهذه المنطقة يعرف شحا كبيرا في المياه، يعني قليل من المياه يصل إلى منطقتنا، وهذا يعني هذا الشح زاد في السنوات الأخيرة، بحيث أن هذه الأرقام لا تتوفر حاليا. يعني لا نتوفر على يعني 22 مليار من الأمتار المكعبة من المياه التي يمكن تعبئتها. يعني هذا الرقم عرف في السنين الأخيرة يعني نقول ب75%، نقص كبير جدا. يمكننا أن نقول بأن التغيرات المناخية أثرت بشكل كبير على توفير المياه بمنطقتنا، ومن هنا نقول بأن السياسة المائية التي اتبعت في بلادنا كانت سياسة رشيدة، بحيث أنها يعني جنبتنا الكثير من المشاكل والكوارث. أقول رغم أن هذا النقص الكبير إلا أننا يعني كل المغاربة توفروا على الماء، ولدينا فلاحة يعني شيئا ما مزدهرة، بحيث أنها تصدر شيئا كبيرا من المنتجات. بعجالة، يعني الري في البلاد في المغرب يتكون من 3 مكونات. هنالك الري الكبير والمتواجد على سافلة السدود الكبرى، والري يعني الخاص الذي يعني يعتمد على تقنيات خاصة، يعني تعبئة خاصة، والري الصغير والمتوسط. الري الصغير والمتوسط هو يعني موضوعنا الآن، وهذا الري يعني له جذور في التاريخ، ويشكل يعني إرثا يعني جد مهم، ويذخر بعدة تقنيات يعني جد مهمة يمكن أن تكون مفيدة لنا جميعا في هذه التغيرات المناخية. إذن كما قلت، الري الصغير والمتوسط هو متجذر في التاريخ وله أهمية كبيرة، بحيث أنه تأقلم وتطور مع الزمن. ويمكننا أن نقول بأن هنالك هندسة مائية قديمة ومتقدمة التي يعني تثري يعني الخزانة الإنسانية ب يعني عدة منشآت فريدة من نوعها. وهنا نتكلم عن منشآت التي تعمل على تحويل المياه، وتعمل كذلك على توزيعها بطرق يعني جد دقيقة، وطرق متقادمة، أو طرق يعني متوارثة منذ القدم. هذا المجال يعني مجال مهم كما قلت، له أهمية اقتصادية، بحيث أن هنالك أكثر من ثلث أراضي المسقية توجد بهذه المناطق. هذه الري الصغير والمتوسط، كل مدار سقوي صغير متوسط له تقنية خاصة، ويشكل هندسة كما قلت، هندسة مائية، لا في تعبئة المياه ولا في توزيعها. جاء في المداخلات السابقة أن، أو في يعني الافتتاح، أن الإنسان شيء مهم في هذه السلسلة أو في هذا المجال. في هذا الخصوص هنالك تنظيمات يعني التي تكونت عبر الزمان، وكونها المستعملون لكي يشرفوا على هذه المنشآت، أولا في هندستها وفي إنجازها وفي صيانتها. وهذا شيء جد مهم نعمل عليه كثيرا لكي يعني نقوي القدرات لدى الفلاحين، لكي تستمر هذه المنشآت في العمل. ومن بين المنشآت يعني التي لها ميزة خاصة هي الخطارة. وكما ترون الخطارة تنقسم إلى قسمين. هنالك القسم العلوي الذي يأتي فوق يعني الفرشة المائية، وهذه منطقة يعني يتم هي منطقة عيون يتم جلب المياه. الطرف الثاني هو يعني طرف لكي يجمع المياه ولكي تخرج إلى الخارج. الخطارة هي هذه، يعني مجموعة من الآبار، ويعني تالي بينهما ساقية تنقسم إلى 3 مقاسم. إذن كما ترون يعني منشآت من هذا القبيل تتطلب جهدا كبيرا، وتتطلب تقنيات كبيرة، وتتطلب يعني يعني قدرات ومعرفة كبيرة بالحفر وب يعني توجيه المياه. هذه يعني خريطة من فوق في منطقة فيجيج التي لها يعني باع. هذا شبكة من الخطارات من السواقي تحت أرضية لجميع المياه وتوزيعها في من أجل السقي. يعني لكي نبين كيف يعني كان يشتغل الناس من قبل. هنا ذو صورة من فوق للخطارات كما تظهر من الأعلى. هذا إلى جانب يعني الخطارات، كما قلت الخطارات تعمل على جمع المياه الجوفية. هنالك تقنية أخرى ومتواجدة خصوصا في الجنوب الغربي لبلادنا، حيث لا تتوفر مياه جوفية. وهنا طورت الساكنة تقنية جمع المياه السطحية، ونسميها المطفيات، وهي عبارة عن صهاريج تحت أرضية يعني يبنيها الساكنة لكي يجمعون فيها الماء، نظرا لأن هنالك تساقطات جد قليلة، وزيادة على ذلك لا تتوفر يعني فرشة مائية لحفر الآبار. وهذه التقنية يعني بطبيعة الحال هي تقنية بدأنا نطورها مؤخرا، لأنها من بين يعني الحلول التي يعني لها أهمية كبيرة في غياب موارد أخرى. إذن هذه صورة يعني مجموعة من المطفيات كتستعمل. هذه المطفيات بطبيعة الحال في الأشغال المنزلية، وتستعمل كذلك للري وكذلك للأعمال يعني مثلا المساجد أو الإدارات. أنا يعني كيف طورنا أو كيف يتم تطوير هذه المنشآت بحيث أنها أصبحت تبنى بالخرسانة وب يعني تقنيات جد يعني متطورة، وسهلت كذلك عملية الصيانة بالنسبة لمستعملي هذه المطفيات. بطبيعة الحال هنالك يعني عدة حلول التي يمكن أن نزود بها هذه المنشآت حتى نسهل يعني ونجعلها تتماشى مع المتطلبات الحالية. هنا طريقة كيفاش يتم الحفر ثم البناء ثم الإعداد لهذه المطفيات بطبيعة الحال، التي توفر حلولا يعني متلائمة مع هذه المناطق. إذن كخلاصة يمكننا أن نقول بأن هذه المنشآت ستتطلب يعني الحفاظ عليها لأنها إرث، لأنها يعني حلول وممارسات جيدة في هذا المجال. ولهذا نحن نطمح بأن توثق هذه التقنيات وأن نعمل كما جاء في المداخلة ديال الأستاذ يوسف، نعمل على تحسين مردوديتها باستعمال التقنيات وتطويرها علميا بطبيعة الحال. المؤسسات الأممية مطالبة كذلك بأن تشتغل على هذه الحلول، لأن هذه الحلول يعني جاءت بعد تراكمات وعبر سنين، وتمكنت إلى حد ما يعني أن تمكن التكيف مع صعوبة المجال. وكذلك هنالك اقتراحات بطبيعة الحال من أجل دعم بعض المبادرات. وهنا لنا مبادرة في خصوص الواحات المستدامة. هذه المبادرة تعني بهذا الإرث الثقافي ولها يعني دور في المحافظة عليه. وأشكركم.
شكرا جزيلا سي محمد. Thank you very much for this very interesting presentation. Really interesting work, interesting heritage, and interesting efforts of the government of Morocco to valorize, restore this traditional water engineering, but more importantly, by including local communities, which is really important. So really congratulations for what you are doing. I'm sure we'll learn more about what you are doing in this regard, and I'm sure also the audience will have questions for you. Thank you very much. So the next presentation will be delivered by my colleague, Dr. Ahmed Nasrallah. So Dr. Ahmed Nasrallah is the country director of WorldFish, another CGIAR center. So Dr. Ahmed Nasrallah has more than 35 years of expertise in aquaculture and fisheries management. So he contributed to the National Aquatic Health Strategy of Egypt and spearheaded projects across Egypt, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Nigeria, Ghana, Morocco. And under his leadership, Dr. Nasrallah, WorldFish Abbasa Research and Training Center in Egypt became a premier hub for sustainable aquaculture in Africa. Of course, he has a lot of achievements, but I will mention that he has received multiple awards, including the WorldFish Center Board Awards. Thank you very much, Dr. Ahmed, for joining us, and he will take us through integrated aquaculture agriculture potential in MENA. Please.
Thanks, Dr. Yusuf. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ahmed Nasrallah. I am the country representative for WorldFish in Egypt. As Dr. Yusuf mentioned, WorldFish is an international non-profit research organization. Our headquarters in Malaysia, and in Egypt we have a regional facility to serve Africa and West Asia. Okay, I'm building on Dr. Muhammad's presentation, so I'm continuing this interesting discussion. Wherever water exists, there is civilization. With the civilization, there is agriculture, and there is community and demand for food system, not only include crop, include animal components, and animal components should include fish as a healthy diet to balance the food requirements. So this is our discussion topic today. Why we need to go for integrated agriculture aquaculture? By 2050, fresh water scarcity will increase. Most of Africa will suffer from fresh water scarcity. Plus to Suwana, west of Asia and Central Asia as well. So a lot of countries will suffer from scarcity of fresh water. That means we need to optimize water use to produce more food, especially if we know that in other side of the slide, population will increase to close to 10 billion by 2050. So will be more population with less water, fresh water available. That's why we need to enhance water use efficiency. For this reason, we talk about integrated agriculture, aquaculture, which gives some advantage. We'll just summarize a few of them. And efficient use of water resources as multiple use of water, increase income and rural community as we work with the rural community around the countries and regions, afford animal protein food, which is rich in amino acid and essential nutrients, protect the environment as integrated agriculture, aquaculture, minimize the use of chemical fertilizers in land cropping system. So this contributes. Plus to this, organic fertilizers coming from fish system improve soil to enable soil to retain more water, more efficient than traditional system. Plus to resilience food system. Okay, definition of IAA is the sequential of activities. 2 activities or more. One of them is fish farming. Scientifically, every tons of every kg of salmon production of 1 kg of salmon generate 10 to 23 gram phosphorus, 60 to 100 gram nitrogen, 75 gram or 750 gram organic carbon. So waste generated from fish farming will be used for fertilizing crops. Integrated agriculture, aquaculture can be outdoor, scalable, and could be indoor one. Aquaponic is form of integration with some minor amendment. We have conducted a study in 2010 in Egypt. We make assessment of 4 farms as a case study. We measured nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium in water inlet, water outlet, and we quantify the difference. Then use this difference, multiply it by volume of water. From there, we could estimate amount of nitrogen in kilogram nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium per day generated from fish components to fertilize the crop. To match between fish farming and crop, we need to understand the biology and the characteristic. Some fish can grow in freshwater fish like tilapia, red tilapia and mullet. Some fish are marine species, so we'll select the freshwater or brackish water fish to adapt with integration. The same when we came to crop, some crop are sensitive to salinity, some crop are more tolerant. So we make balance in terms of salinity. Also, we make balance in terms of nitrogen requirements. For integration, we recommend to grow nitrogen demanding crops to efficient use of nitrogen. In 2015 in Egypt, we have done a visit or through some intervention, and we find this system is demand driven by small farmers. The farmer in right hand have 5 acre area, small scale farmers benefit from government project to giving them 5 then to cultivate. He dig a pond or reservoir to balance the water, keep the water reservoir, the water in his farm. And by the end of the year, he make a very good yield of fish. Farmer around him benefit from his water. So the farmer around him, in the same, by the end of the season, they digged another one to get benefit of his fertilizers and income from the farm. This is a larger or medium scale farmers. This is spread around the countries, and especially to south of the country and to the west. Or, as you know, Delta is concentrated in middle of Egypt, far north of Egypt. So the west of the country is desert and south of desert. Large scale farms, these are several hundred hectare farms to the north in Egypt in different locations, to the south in Saudi Arabia. So this is scalable, not only limited to Egypt, it's regional intervention. This system enable to get benefit or revenue from every activities. We could use water more than once. We could use water to produce two species of fish, get to revenue from there, and then get revenue from selling crop, and forage crops could be used for feeding animals. Animals make money from meat, from milk. Waste of animals is used to fertilize crops. So this is cycle between them. Some well-established farm in Egypt called Al Karam, they are the best example of this. In Al Karam, the groundwater is used to grow fish, tilapia, then with the same water goes to grow catfish, then water goes to alfalfa or bersim or Egyptian clover, and then the forage crop goes to animal generate waste is used to generate gas is used to heating water, and heating water is used, hot water is used for reproduction of fish and for housing. So this is zero waste system. In assessment through SUANA, we find the most important commodity for fish farming in Egypt in the integrated system: Nile tilapia, mullet, red tilapia, basa or pangasius, eels, and shrimp. This is a big surprise. With shrimp with brackish water could grow in multiple integrated system. And then crop alfalfa, maize, wheat, barley, vegetables, onion, lettuce, fruits, tomato, mango, date, palm, olive, guava, figs, and shrub trees as jojoba, and etc. In a farm in west of Egypt, they produced around 120 products in integrated system through efficient use of water resources. Also, the government and the local community adopted this system in north of Sinai in Bedouin area, Bedouin community. So the Bedouin community have scarcity of water, so they use water to grow fish, and then from their water is used for their crop. Aquaponic is a sort of integration with just minimal intervention and mechanization. And to say this system also have potential for automation. So you upgrading the system using ICT or to run the system, especially in remote area and so on. To conclude, integrated agriculture, aquaculture it's a good approach for efficient use of water, but we need to be careful to balance between water demand for the fish component and water demand for crop component, for understanding the nutrients mechanisms from fish to crops, to use mechanical filter to make filter of water to avoid blocking of irrigation, drip irrigation system. So some knowledge is required. In most of the cases, we'll find experience in fish farm, not in crop, or people in crop don't have experience in fish farm. So this is what we are working in with the community. Just to end here, this system is, we worked with several partners to promote integrated agriculture, aquaculture, to the right hand in Egypt, to the middle in Morocco. In 23, we have done assessment of integrated agriculture in Morocco. To the south, to Africa, Ethiopia to the right, Eritrea to the left, and then in Saudi Arabia. So we could say the potential for integrated agriculture, aquaculture is huge. It's not only limited, as Professor mentioned, is desertification is expanding. So the room is there as long as there is population and civilization and shortage of water. With this, thanks for your attention. Thank you.
Very much. شكرا. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Ahmed. Really interesting presentation, insights, data and experiments coming from the ground, and a lot of potential to valorize land, water, nutrients within circular economy concepts as well, but also giving communities business opportunities as well. So really interesting business model, and I appreciate how you promoted it, but also you framed it in a kind of area that need to be watched carefully, where science will is needed to advise about this balanced and regulated use of this technology and innovation. Thank you very much. I'm sure we'll have chance also to learn more and to understand more about this innovation and its prospects in addressing fragility in MENA. So we will go to the panel discussion now. So I will invite the speakers, but I will start with Dr. Hammoul Amrani. We are really happy to have you. So Dr. Hammoul Amrani is Economic Affairs Officer at UN ESCWA. So he has, of course, a very long biography, lots of achievements, but I will pick some of them. So he is a distinguished expert in water, agriculture, climate resilience, with really extensive experience in MENA and beyond. So he worked with renowned international organizations in sustainable development, focusing on integrated water resources management, food security, climate smart practices, and he contributed to very large and successful regional initiatives addressing water scarcity, environmental challenges, and socioeconomic developments, emphasizing innovation and capacity building. And he played a pivotal role in advancing policies and programs that enhance resilience and sustainability in the region across diverse sectors. Dr. Hammoul Amrani, please. I will also call Professor Qamar Rahil. I recall you are head of the Directorate of Science and Technology at ICISCO in Morocco. And I will call Mr. Mohammed Bashri. So Dr. Mohammed Bashri, you are the Director of Strategy and Partnership at the Moroccan Agency in charge of WASIS and Argan Area Development. And I will call Dr. Ahmed Nasrallah, the country director for Worldfish in Egypt. So I have few questions for our panelists, but please keep your questions as well. We would like to, and also your insights, we would like to learn from you as well. I'm sure you have, I see lots of experts in the room. So we would like, of course, to learn from your experiences and your insights. And the first question to open the panel, I will ask my colleague, Dr. Hammoul Amrani, first reflection, first perspective about the presentation so far as an expert. And I will have questions to you as a specialist within UN ESCWA later.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. شكرا دكتور يوسف. I would first of all thank EMI for putting this session on and for gathering a distinguished set of speakers that share different experiences, but with the same purpose of what multidimensional approach and a system approach could bring to the challenges we are facing today. The first presentation was actually full of wisdom, and we don't need to look ahead before looking backward. The desertification cycle, the humankind has experienced. All green spaces across the globe are at risk of becoming dry. And there is a lot to learn from how mankind has adapted to the harsh and difficult environments. So I think this links up to the presentation of Dr. Bashri from Anzoua in Morocco that shows that there is already a wealth of knowledge and skills on how people in Oasis adapt to water scarcity, and the indigenous knowledge is showing the way on how to make natural resources management in a circular economy approach where zero waste is generated by design. So Oasis are a lab case where there is a lot to learn for sustainable development. The idea of connecting data and science to policymaker in Yusuf's presentation is also something we need to consider in a coherent and comprehensive system approach. Land alone is not enough, water alone is not enough, and food and agriculture alone are not enough. So a system approach is what we need to preach and promote in order to face the challenges of the complexity of land, water, and food in a sustainable manner. Of course, the integrated approach, agriculture, aquaculture, with concrete examples of how successful it's in Morocco, in Egypt, and in other countries in the region, but also on what it takes and what it requires. So provision of necessary knowledge on the benefits of multidisciplinary work, and also the combination between traditional knowledge and smart technologies that could further push the production, but also care about the ecosystems. And I think those are all instrumental ideas on the way forward. How we think our land and our future being the motto of the current COP. One is a system approach. Two is a community-centered approach. There is nothing technology can do unless people are put at the heart of whatever development plan we are thinking on and working on. And the collaboration and collaboration across sectors, collaboration between countries, and collaboration between disciplines. I think those are the main takeaways from my perspective. And thank you, Yusuf, again.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Hammour. Really, really interesting recap and reading of these interventions so far. And it is very helpful because you brilliantly put forward 3 keywords that I will use to also address the next question to you. So you mentioned system thinking, system approach, community-centric, focused interventions, and collaboration and cooperation. You work as economic affairs officer at UNESCO, which is one of the active, dynamic players in development and cooperation in the region, and you have really critical mandate in terms of topics, but also in terms of geography. So I would like to hear from you how UNESCO is working to integrate data, or basically data-driven insights and recommendations into national policies, and you work with governments and national stakeholders in the region. And you can also reflect on how you are doing that while including marginalized communities in the region, please.
Thank you. Again, Dr. Yusuf, actually the work is doing is through intergovernmental mechanisms and collaboration with countries, but also collaboration with regional organizations. The way we generate data is a combination of socioeconomic surveys. So we have huge data portals for each and every country out of the 21 countries that ESCO is covering. That's number one. Number two, we have an SDG monitoring portal where we collect data on what progress each and every country is doing in each SDG out of the 70 SDGs. 3, we have bilateral collaboration with countries where we look into specific issues. I will focus on 2, water resources, energy, but also climate change. On climate change, we have a hub that is based on data collected from the countries, data that is reliable, that is accurate, on climate projections for each and every country. We have for the Arab domain that ESCWA has developed, but we have at a smaller and at a higher resolution for the Mashriq region. For the Mashriq region, we have data for countries that show the projections of climate impacts on different sectors, not only temperature and precipitations, but also on agriculture, on cities. And that data is free, accessible on request, and ESCWA is responding to demands from countries for the provision of this data. The second is on water resources. Water resources, we do collect also data directly through surveys with countries, but also we do use GIS and satellite imagery for water resources assessment. The third point that where we serve the countries and support countries is in capacity building for data generation. So where we do support directly the entities, the government entities and regional organizations by providing specific training on request on different topics. Every year we have a plan for capacity development for data management with regard to agriculture, water and climate change and renewable energy. So that's the way we do serve the countries in terms of data. And that's the way we collect data. Manara is a portal where you have all this information that is open to public, and also the SDG portal and a regional knowledge hub called RICAR that is dedicated to provide data on climate change. And this is all available and accessible on unesco.org that you can access and use. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hamou. Can you reflect also on the integration of marginalized communities?
There are 2 ways, actually. We have a cluster dedicated to social development, and that cluster produces studies for specific issues related to vulnerable groups, be it the disabled or persons with disability, women and youth. So we have studies that are generated on specific topics, but we have also support provided to the countries directly to develop specific policies dedicated to vulnerable groups, be it farmers, be it women, be it persons with disability, and promoting and developing social protection strategies for the countries. So that's the way we do promote the integration and the inclusion of vulnerable groups, not only in access to resources, but also in terms of human rights. As we see, food, water, land and energy are all packed in human rights. And we do work with countries on how to advance and promote the access of those vulnerable groups through these mechanisms of expanding the inclusive policies in general, socio-economic policies.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Hamou, for sharing insights about ESCWA work and achievements. And of course, RICAR is one of your flagship products that is really significantly helping the states in the region to understand the future climate, but also to plan based on science and data. Thank you very much. So my next questions will be to Professor Dr. Raheel Qamar. And initially I had 2 questions for you, but I will combine them to give you more space to reflect and also to let us learn more and more about you and also about your organization. So Professor Qamar, you took us through the ICESCO science-driven resilience framework. You are championing science education in the in the region. And I'm sure that traditional knowledge is really one of your key focus areas. And you are also trying to help the member states to build their resilience strategy. Can you please reflect more and elaborate more about these two topics, please?
Thank you very much, Yusuf, and thank you for inviting me to this really enlightening discussion. As we saw from our colleague from Morocco, they've used, I think the traditional knowledge of the water system and all that, they've used it very effectively. And it's a brilliant example of using old knowledge for newer problems and everything. We have a similar system in Pakistan. It's known as the Karaz system. And that is all underground systems, which was built thousands of years ago. And it's an amazing system, but unfortunately, due to climate change, it is drying up now, and it is really under threat. But coming back to your question, what we noticed, again, I'll give you the example of Morocco. What we noticed is the Moroccan honeybee is very resilient to disease and is very resilient to climate change. Unlike the European bee, and you know, the bee is the cornerstone of agriculture. If the bee is wiped out tomorrow, agriculture will be wiped out from this planet, and within 4 years, all humanity will die. So that is a really, a very important part of this whole system of food generation and everything. So we noticed that this particular bee is very resilient. And right now we are studying on, what makes it resilient and how is it different from the European bee, so that if we introduce it in Europe, keeping in mind maybe, the issues with the European bee, can we really supplant that in Europe? So that is one of our projects. Another project is on the argan tree, which is a very important product of Morocco. As you know, argan tree is only grown in Morocco, nowhere else it grows. And we are trying to understand, what makes it only grow in Morocco and why cannot we transplant it anywhere else? It's not a lack of effort. People have tried. It just does not grow anywhere else. So we are scientifically trying to identify what makes it grow there and why cannot we grow it anywhere else. And we have established a chair in I think Akwan University, where they are studying these scientific questions on that. Another very important one of our project is we looked into fighting desertification, and we said what can we do? And we said we can start planting trees in countries who are facing desertification, like Mauritania, Togo, and Ghana. These are the 3 countries where we planted about 69,000 trees, but not just any tree. We said we need to create some economic impact of these tree plantation also. So we chose gum Arabic tree plantation. And traditionally, from traditional knowledge, we know that some of the gum Arabic tree produce more gum as opposed to others. So we said, what is the scientific basis of that? And we found out that the high producers were polyploidy in nature, whereas the low producers were monoploidy or diploidy in nature. So this is the genetic difference between the high producer and the low producer. So we started in nurseries, we started cultivating these polyploidy trees, and we have been planting them all over these 3 countries that I talked about earlier. So traditional knowledge was there, but we did not understand, what was the reason. And science allowed us to understand what is the reason behind this. All right, another 2 initiatives I'll talk about. One is the Green Cities Initiative, and every year we were awarding this award to different cities of the world. Again, the idea behind it is to allow more greening of the cities. One of our workshops, which we did last year also, was on urban forestation. I think, urban landscape is becoming a landscape of cement forests. And we need to break that, break that tradition and move towards urban forestation also. And you don't need really huge plots of land for this urban forestation. Even on small pieces of land, you can do this. And even I think in the future, hanging gardens will be just like in the Babylon eras. We will see that sort of hanging gardens in tall buildings and all that also. And the last initiative I want to talk about is the smart and resilient and green cities. We have been awarding this to different countries since last year. And this year in Azerbaijan, we are setting up a living lab demonstrating all these technological innovations which can be included in smart cities and which can make our lives much easier. So these are some of the events we've been doing. Thank you.
Impressive, Professor Dr. Qamar. Lots of, I mean, it's very comprehensive, and it's amazing how you are trying to decoding the local knowledge to inspire our plans for resilience and also sustainability. And I learned a lot today. Honestly, I didn't know that you are also operating in the urban context, which is really a very, very interesting hot topic, and very important also for inclusive resilience. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor Qamar. So my next question will be to Dr. Mohammed Bashri. So again, I had two questions for you, but I will combine them. So it will be giving you more space to reflect and elaborate. So Mr. Mohammed Bashri, you took us through what Anzua is doing to valorize and restore this traditional knowledge while including the local communities. I would like to hear from you more, if you can focus a little bit on how you proceed in terms of including these communities, and mainly the small holding farmers, for example. And also if you can enlighten us about your next plans, your future long-term program at Anzua within this space. Please feel free to speak in French, Arabic.
Sorry. Change the place? No? Okay. It's more practical. شكرا أستاذ دكتور يوسف. حقيقة كانت إجابة يعني جد مقنعة من طرف دكتور قمر عندما تكلم عن النحلة الصفراء أو النحلة المتواجدة في المغرب. صراحة احنا اشتغلنا مؤخرا في إطار ما تقوم به الوكالة في الحفاظ على الموروث الثقافي، ولكن الموروث طبيعي. هنالك موروث طبيعي يعني جد مهم بالمناطق، مناطق الواحات ومناطق الأركان، حيث أن الطبيعة يعني مرت في ظروف قاسية وظروف جعلت منها أنها تتأقلم مع هذه الظروف، بحيث أن يعتبر أو تعتبر الواحات بصفة عامة ومناطق الأركان كمختبرات لتوظيف ولتطوير مهارات في نفس الوقت مهارات إنسانية يعني لدى الإنسان المتواجد، وكذلك المنتوجات الحيوانية أو النباتية المتواجدة في هذه المناطق. الأستاذ أعطى أمثلة عن بعض الأشجار وبعض الحيوانات كالنحلة الصفراء. احنا اشتغلنا مؤخرا في إطار مشروع مع الفاو لإعادة يعني توزيع النحلة الصفراء المتواجدة بهذه المناطق التي عرفت تقلص. هذه النحلة الصفراء لها خصوصيات كبيرة وتأقلمت مع الوقت، ويعني لها مع الأسف الشديد هي لا يعني إذا دخلت النحلة كيف كنسميه احنا النحلة السوداء يعني هي تضعف، يعني لا تقاوم النحلة إلا في الإنتاج، هي أحسن إنتاجا ولها تأقلم جيد. إذن هذا دور يعني البحث العلمي والتجديد، هو إعادة يعني الرجوع لهذه الممارسات القديمة وإعادة دراستها وتثبيتها علميا، وكذلك أخذ بعين الاعتبار يعني التنوع البيولوجي. التنوع البيولوجي في هذه المناطق عندها خصوصية كبيرة، وكذلك تبقى علينا كمؤسسة، يعني كمؤسسة حكومية التي وضعت، يعني التي أنشئت يعني في 2010 الوكالة الوطنية لتنمية مناطق الواحات وشجر الأركان. لها هذه يعني الميزة أنها تعمل على مجال معين، مجال الأركان ومجال الواحات، التي لها خصوصية كما قلت من حيث التنوع البيولوجي الفريد من نوعه، وكذلك لها إرث وغنى ثقافي جد مهم. ونحن نعمل بطبيعة الحال مع مؤسسات دولية ومؤسسات عالمية على هذا الموروث بطريقة يعني علمية وطريقة يعني متدرجة، بحيث أن الوكالة وضعت استراتيجية للعمل ديالها، العمل على أنها يكون تفكير شمولي، يعني بأخذ بعين الاعتبار كل المجالات أو مجالات التدخل أو القطاعات، وفي نفس الوقت يكون لها تدخل محلي. Think global and act local. That's what we try to do. في هذه المناطق نجد يعني عدة أشياء التي لا بد أن نثيرها. كما قلت، المجالات الاقتصادية والإنسانية التي من شأنها أن تحسن هذا الهدف الأول، يعني نعمل على يعني تحسين العيش للساكنة في المنطقة عبر يعني استعمال المؤهلات المتواجدة بهذه المناطق، وكذلك العمل على يعني مشاريع لخلق الثروة بهذه المناطق. هنالك طبيعة ما يتعلق بالزراعة كمجال مهم، مجال له يعني مؤهلات كبيرة. هنالك السياحة، وهنالك يعني مجال المعادن بهذه المناطق. هنالك المجال البيئي اللي يمكن لنا نقسموه لثلاث محاور. هنالك مجال الماء. مجال الماء شيء يعني ضروري وحيوي بهذه المناطق، وله عدة استراتيجيات وعدة مداخل. هنا فقط أريد أن أقف في قضية الماء بهذه المناطق أو بجل المناطق بالمغرب يعرف واحد يعني خلل كبير، هو الذي يعني قضية الماء هي التي تبقى محورية بهذه المناطق، بحيث أنها تبقى حاسمة في عدة مجالات. التغيرات المناخية أثرت بشيء ملموس وحاد في هذه المناطق ونعيشه. هنالك شيئين مهمين: نعيش جفافا وقلة وشحا في الماء لمدة أطول، ونعيش كذلك كثرة في مدة قصيرة. إذن نحن نشتغل على هذين يعني البعدين، القلة القليلة والكثرة الكثيرة. وهنا يجب أن يعني نتأقلم نحن كمهندسين وكفاعلين في هذه المناطق، أن نستغل الكثرة ونستغل كذلك، يمكن أن نستغل القلة، وهذا يجب أن يكون يعني نصب أعيننا. هذا شيء ولا يعني جوهري في هذه المناطق. بطبيعة الحال لا أزيد أكثر. التنوع البيولوجي وتدهور التربة، هذين ملفين يعني كبيرين بهذه المناطق. هنالك تعرية يعني جد كبيرة، ونفقد الكثير من الأراضي الصالحة للزراعة بهذه المناطق مع الأسف الشديد. كما أننا نفقد كذلك انجراف كبير ما يقولوا الانجراف الجيني، يعني فقدان عدة أصناف، عدة يعني في هذه المجالات، لأنها لا توجد إلا في هذه المناطق. نحن نعمل بطبيعة الحال على أن نضع في إطار مبادرة يعني شاملة، أن نضع منصة للتعاون بين الدول التي أنها تعيش نفس المشاكل. منصة مبادرة الواحات المستدامة نعمل على إنشائها، على أن نتمنى أن يكون يعني التفاف حول هذه المبادرة، حتى نعمل جميعا ونتبادل الخبرات ونتبادل يعني المعلومات حول هذه المناطق لأهميتها، أولا بالنسبة للساكنة، وثانيا لها أهمية كونية لأنها تعتبر كمختبرات كما قلت في البداية للتأقلم والتكيف مع التغيرات المناخية الحادة التي نعيشها. ونحن يعني منفتح في بلدنا المغرب على يعني تبادل التجارب في هذا المجال. وأريد أن أختم بأن المغرب وضع وكالة خاصة في لهذه المجالات لكي تعمل مع بطبيعة الحال لكي تتعاون على المستوى الوطني، وكذلك يعني تفتح جسور على المستوى الدولي. نحن على أتم الاستعداد لكي نشتغل جميعا. وشكرا أستاذ يوسف.
شكرا جزيلا سي محمد. Thank you very much. I will not be able to summarize everything, but I will highlight probably 2 or 3 things, and I will invite, of course, everyone to reach out to you to learn more about what Anzua is doing. But I noted how you see that water combined with climate change and also land degradation as limiting factors in the development of these important areas in Morocco, but also in the region. And I noted also one of your interesting initiatives where you are working with small farmers to re-establish the Moroccan honeybee in collaboration with FAO. And here, for you, cooperation is key. So you are working with FAO, but a lot of other international organizations to support also biodiversity by preservation in the oasis and around argan growing areas in Morocco. And you also reminded us about this interesting initiative launched by the Kingdom of Morocco in COP22, right? Okay, about the Sustainable Oasis initiative. And it is a call from the Kingdom of Morocco to collaborate around this interesting ecosystem. We have one last panelist, and I'm sure he will be very sharp as always and concise in taking us for another time briefly about one or two examples of successful policy interventions to promote IAA, integrated agriculture and aquaculture. And you can also touch on the benefits of this business model for the region. Can you? Thank you, Dr. Ahmed.
Thanks, Dr. Yusuf. I like it, the approach of multi-dimension approach. This is the best way to overcome, because this is a challenge. This is a global challenge. So I like this point. I would like just to remember all the presentation of material here. You could access from the barcode from outside. You could download this material is accessible. One of the examples, I would say in Egypt, the country have a big program for land reclamation and allow the integration system in this land reclamation, but still with the limit of water drown it, water pumping. So quota of water per acre is the same, but you can do part of your business for integration. So multiple use of water in integration, this is could be one of the solution for improving water use efficiency and restoring the environment for the future. With this, let me conclude, Dr. Yusuf, because I know we are under pressure of time, but we need to work together and consider this aim for the future. The way is long to overcome the challenge. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ahmed. Absolutely, water again, water and water and water. It's good for us, International Water Management Institute. So we have a lot of advocating partners here. So thank you very much. And absolutely, IAA is really very potential to give another life to water and also to increase the productivity of this vital resource. We already exceeded the time that we are allowed to use, but I will see if we have one question, burning question that might be taken in 1 minute. Yes, please, Dr. Aziz.
We know that now, I mean, maybe he will also have something to add to it. There is continuous attempts to expand agriculture from the oasis to the desert, taking advantage of the new technologies and so on. How do you look into this, the opportunities and the challenges?
Do you have specific speaker to Dr. Hamu Amran, please?
Yeah, I don't know why the difficult questions are always coming to me. No, I like the question actually. We did not invest in indigenous knowledge sufficiently over decades. I think there is a gap in our understanding to the ecosystems and the linkage between people and ecosystems in oases. What makes the oasis a lab of circularity where nothing is wasted? We don't know the details from the scientific point of view. Now, the extrapolation or the expansion and the replication of the oasis model for the purpose of expanding it comes at a risk too. I mean, if Dr. Mohammed has stressed something, he stressed that the extreme hydraulic events or water events happening at the same time. You have floods and droughts, rotating over years. So if we put more pressure in terms of demographics, in terms of water use, in terms of land use, if we put more pressure on fragile ecosystems, we need to be aware of the risks. And that's my concern. Otherwise, there is surely a lot to learn in the harmony between people and resources that have been sustained over years. I think this is a very valid question from the scientific view. What makes those ecosystems sustained over centuries even, and what can we replicate at a reasonable scale without threatening the sustainability of scarce resources, particularly land and water. And I think Mohammed has a lot to add.
اوكي. الواحات تواجه ضغوطات طبيعيه وضغوطات انثروبولوجيك، يعني humain. هذه الضغوطات تتوجب إعادة حلول، فتح حلول ومجالات أخرى around the oasis, not in the oasis.
Thank you very much. Very interesting question. I'm sure we need another session to go through it. And this is an invitation. Let's do something. Amy, Carda, and the other partners around that. Absolutely, very good question. So thank you very much. So this session was brought to you by CGIAR, UNESCO, ICESCO, and ZUA WorldFish /CGIAR. So thank you very much. Dr. Fahman from ICESCO also helped a lot in making this session happen. And thanks to your passions and enthusiasm to that. I will not summarize a lot of really interesting insights, and I invite you to engage with the speakers for more information. Thank you very much. Thank you.